guess our first order of business is to elect a new Finance Committee chairman.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion that we elect Jonathan Fabian to Finance Committee Chairman. He has the skills, the tenure, and I think he watches purse strings as close as anyone. Thank you.
I guess I'll second since I'm the only one who can. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, I would entertain a motion on the consideration of claims.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion for consider of claims to be paid in the amount of $910,052.83 written checks and payroll liabilities for October 31st, 2014 in the amount of $338,463.29. Manual checks in the amount of $158.40, and the Elaine credit card in the amount of $9,616.25. The total is $1,258,290.77.
And I will second. Did you have any questions on the bills today?
I didn't know. Thank you.
And I looked through them and also didn't have any questions. So all those in favor of paying the claims, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Is there any further business for us today, Stephen?
No, Your Honor, just a reminder that initially we were going to start at 6 tomorrow, and we're not. I mean, we were starting at 7, so I know I talked about that. So
7 instead of 6:45. There's no pre-meeting.
Oh, yeah, we are having a pre-meeting, sorry, yeah. We were going to start at 6 o'clock and have a work session, but we're just going to make that a part of the regular agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. I guess if there's no further business, meeting adjourned.
7 p.m. Would Councilman Canaan please lead the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would the city clerk please conduct the roll call?
Councilman Richard.
Here.
Councilman Martin Canaan. Councilwoman Mary Ellen Christensen.
Present.
Councilman Jonathan Fabian.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Mayor Ron Warbness.
I am here, and I declare that we have a quorum this evening. The chair would entertain a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Your Honor,
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda.
second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Communication from the floor, citizens' comments. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that is already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium and identify yourself for the record. Is there anyone that would like to address the council at this time? Okay. Is there a staff response to previous citizens' comments? Have anything, Mr. Weaver?
No, Your Honor.
City Clerk, please read the consent agenda items by title only.
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes November 3rd, 2014 regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes November 17th, 2014 Finance Committee meeting. Approval of Finance Committee recommendations for November 17th, 2014. And approval of the municipal court report for the month of October 2014.
Your Honor,
Yes.
is the recommendation from the Finance Committee for claims to be paid in the amount of $910,052.83, manual checks in the amount of $158.40, checks for payroll and liabilities for October 31st, 2014 in the amount of $338,463.29, a loan credit card in the amount of $9,616.25 for a total of $1,258,290.77.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Your Honor, I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. At this time, we will have a recognition of Mr. Jim Mattson. Airport Board Public Works Director report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. We want to take this moment and say thank you to Jim Mattson for his years of service as a member of the Airport Board. He was appointed in 1999, therefore it's 15 years of service to our city, and we definitely appreciate it. The interesting thing is that for a number of those years, he served as the airport chair, was very knowledgeable, very serviceable to our city, and we appreciate the impact that he has had for our airport. Thank you.
I have an award here, and I'd like to come down, Jim. End of the record. This is a certificate of appreciation awarded to James Mattson for excellence in service to the city of Riverton and Riverton Regional Airport. Thank you for the 15 years of service as a member of the airport board. Date of the board appointment, February 5th, 1999. Chairman of the airport board, December 6th, 2014. Awarded this 18th day of November, 2014. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Warpness and the City Council for this appreciation certificate. I would love to continue, but my health prevents me from doing that. I enjoyed my years on the board, particularly the years as the president and working with Bill Urbicite. It was wonderful to work with, and it was an asset to this airport. So I hope we did some things over the years that were good and move this airport forward. I think we did. I wish good luck to those that come after me. We deserve it. We've gone from good times to bad times, like the bad times in the present. We'll lose $1 million this year, or at least half of that, because our boardings have not made it to 10,000. Not our fault. You know, one of the things I've always seen was that regardless who our air carrier was, we can't control prices, we can't control the aircraft, nor can we control service. We just live with what they give us. But that's been pretty good over the years. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor, for this certificate. I do appreciate it. Yep.
One thing we can control facility. We have a beautiful
Yes.
facility.
Thank you. Yeah, I know.
That was a great honor. Jim's been a strong member of our community for years and in education, and then when he retired from education, why then got in with the airport, and he's just been a wonderful member of our community, and wish, like he does, that he was able to continue on, but that happens. So at any rate, thank you again, Jim. Good job.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I would just like to say
Christensen.
thank you. He was one of the best principals, and he worked with my daughter for many, many years. And the one thing I know about Jim Matson is that after all these years, she's 33 years old now. Every time I ever saw him, he asked how Catherine was. Never forgot her. Never. Knew her name every time I saw him. So, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Whiteout presentation, stormwater on North Federal. This one isn't going to be quite as pleasant, I have a feeling. City Administrator, introduction, please.
Yes, Your Honor. So we have Robert Scheidemann with us today from YDOT, and he's going to present to us a little bit later. Kyle will go through the staff report and give us a little introduction, and then Robert will come up and give us the meat and potatoes. Kyle?
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Stephen. And we are appreciative for Robert to come. We want to do this in a work session and are grateful that we can do this tonight as well. Appreciate the council. As Stephen mentioned, this is dealing with the future construction of North Federal Boulevard, which is slated currently for 2017. Each of you have received this report. I will quickly run through it for the positive purpose of our general public listening, watching, and who are also attending. A little bit of background. Again, this has to do with North Federal Boulevard, but specifically with the storm drain design. In preparation for the reconstruction of North Federal Boulevard, YDOT conducted a value engineering, I'll refer to that as VE from here on out, design review of the future improvements. VE can most easily be defined as a systematic process where the ratio of cost and function are analyzed. Essentially, it is a way to find the most bang for your buck when projects are constrained by budgets. YDOT has identified a number of cost-saving options related to the installation of storm drain infrastructure as part of their VE review for North Federal Boulevard. Similar to South Federal Boulevard, the city is required to bear the cost of storm drain improvements associated with stormwater generated outside of the YDOT right-of-way. YDOT is only required to pay the costs associated with the runoff generated from their highways. This requirement is consistent with State Statute 24-2-11AI. The City of Riverton has two major points of stormwater influx associated with the North Federal Boulevard project. These points of influx are located at 1, Sunset Boulevard, and 2, Webwood Road. The Sunset Boulevard influx comes from a stormwater transmission line running along the rails to trail right-of-way. The Webwood Road influx is associated with a large stormwater line constructed by Fremont County during the reconstruction and improvement of Webwood Road a number of years back. The purpose of Robert Scheideman's presentation is to review with the City Council 3 preliminary construction options related to the installation of stormwater infrastructure along North Federal Boulevard. Each of these options assumes that the city will be able to work with the Honor Farm and use an existing drainage facility running through their property as a detention facility. Current YDOT designs predict that the upgraded North Federal Boulevard stormwater system will require a 33-acre-foot detention facility. Fortunately, the Honor Farm has been met with, and they have been very cooperative, and for the most part are in agreement with us using a drainage facility. It's a canal, as it stands right now, as this future detention facility. I will now say the list of options related to this stormwater design. Option 1, and again, Mr. Scheidemann will go through these a little bit more in detail, will be to remove and reconstruct existing stormwater infrastructure beneath North Federal Boulevard with a larger capacity infrastructure. It will also remove and reconstruct existing stormwater infrastructure at Webwood Road with larger capacity infrastructure. Option 2 is to separate and divert the Sunset Boulevard stormwater influx away from North Federal Boulevard and run it eastward along the rails to trail right-of-way and subsequently across private property to the existing Honor Farm Canal. We'll also again remove and reconstruct existing stormwater infrastructure at Webwood Road with larger capacity infrastructure. Option 3 is to separate and divert the Sunset Boulevard water influx away from the YDOT system and run it along the east side of the North Federal Boulevard right-of-way outside of the streetscape. At Porter Avenue, YDOT will then combine its stormwater system beneath North Federal Boulevard with the separated line outside of the streetscape running along the east side. This combined North Federal system will then combine with the Webwood Road stormwater infrastructure, which is again to be replaced with larger capacity infrastructure. Just as a note before I turn the time over, this is very preliminary, and we appreciate the working relationship that we have with YDOT. Robert is very good to work with. He brought this notice to us a couple of weeks ago, and we wanted to make sure we brought this forward to the council as well so that you're apprised of the situation. With that background, I believe Robert can now give us a little bit more information about the YDOT design. Thank you.
This isn't an action item then that we're expected to take any action on this evening? Good.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, good.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I need to state my name.
If you would, please.
Robert Scheidemantel with Wyoming Department of Transportation. How do we turn this thing? Come up here in a second, I guess. Okay, you can start to see it now. You guys see that? All right.
Do you have a laser?
Yeah.
Robert, good.
I do. This is option 1, basically. I'm gonna, as you look at the map here, the existing storm sewer comes, this is Sunset, the existing storm sewer comes down North Federal and basically comes down Webwood Road where it dumps into a small drainage ditch right at Pure Gas Road, right down here at the intersection. Option 1 is basically to reconstruct the existing storm sewer system and making it larger. One of the main drawbacks of this is that the existing storm sewer on the west side of Federal, right along here, is within the right-of-way or very close to the sidewalk. So when we reconstruct that, that's all going to be under traffic control. So we'll have a lot of traffic control and dealing with the costs of that. So that's one of the major issues we have there. Also, it's all very flat there, and we'll still have to upsize it to a larger size. I believe it's 56 inch, I'm not sure, but I'll have to look at my drainage study. The next option, option 2, being coming down Pure Gas Road with the drainage and coming across over to Webwood and dumping into the detention facility. This option has its merits. In one reason, it can be built without impacting North Federal. The only other bad thing about it is I'm not sure of the right-of-way in the railroad. I don't know how that right-of-way sits with the city. I don't know if there's any eminent domain saying that they can come back if they ever need it. Not sure about that. And the other thing is you're going to have to go across private landowners there for an easement for a 66-inch pipe to be put in. That is one of the other drawbacks. You guys will have to pay for easements in there. And how soon you can get them, I don't know. Option number 3 is basically kind of a mesh of the two. The right-of-way outside of the highway was quitclaim deeded back to the city in 96. So what we looked at as YDOT, we looked at building the updated system, taking all the flows that the city has and putting them in that new trunk line, which is red in the drawing here. That's all the city flows. Now that can be built outside of the template of the roadway, which means no traffic control, which you guys don't have to pay for, which is really nice. The existing system, once it hits Porter Avenue, is that correct?
That's correct.
Once it hits Porter Avenue, it's already in that area, the existing storm sewer system. So we can leave in place our existing storm sewer system, which is right there in blue. Leave it functional the whole time. You guys will have all yours on the east side of the road, and it's just basically no inlets required, nothing needed. Then we'll combine the two right there at Porter Avenue. They're already outside the right-of-way. So traffic control, less traffic control needed, less cost. And it doesn't impact with the utilities that's existing currently in the template of the roadway. So that was really appealing to us as YDOT, because then keep everything within federal and dump everything into the main system. You guys don't have to look for additional easements or anything else.
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilman Fabian.
It's my understanding from my time on the County Recreation Board, who actually oversees the county portion of the Rails to Trails, that that land actually is in a railroad trust federally. So I'm fairly certain that we would run into issues, although I don't know that 100%.
Well, that's some of the other options. You know, when you look at Pure Gas Road, you don't have to really put it right into the railroad. You could put it underneath Pure Gas Road, but you just overlaid Pure Gas Road, or you could put it in an easement somewhere between the two, or something to that effect. I don't know what kind of land is owned by the city between Pure Gas Road and the railroad. So, not sure about that. So that's the option that we were looking at going with. There will be, I don't know if there'll be an action item required for the city council in the future, because we're going to need an agreement, an ARS agreement, City of Riverton, to go into effect on the design and build of this.
Your Honor.
So,
Yes, Councilman Larson.
That red doesn't show the current drainage coming off of Webwood Road east of or west of Federal. Will the combine of those two be amenable for that for a 100-year flow?
yes.
We had, in 1995, the city was looking at something exactly like this, and it combined a pond on the end of 16th Street. And weren't you, Lars, didn't you tell me that that was real tough soil because it had high water table? And so it's difficult for storage, big storage.
Well, I'll go back a few slides here, and I'll come up here and kind of show you. This here, down here is Redwood Road. This is Walmart. That big drainage ditch goes all the way down through the Honor Farm Road, comes out and flows to the river at the very end of Honor Farm Road right there.
Okay.
Now, this ditch existing right now is approximately 40 feet across at the top, 6 foot feet across at the bottom, and somewhere between 6 and 8 foot deep throughout that whole thing. Now, you need 33 acre feet of storage. So that's basically, if you go 1 foot deep, you need 33 acres. 2 foot we're looking at this storage facility. Now, granted, I know there's everything in the paper regarding the 304 acres, idea Inc. or something like that. This is using the existing. This is using the existing drainage facility. If this is gonna be industrial or commercial in front along the highway, this would make a great little greenway between the commercial and the homes. But you're using the existing drainage. You're not looking at using up any acreage from the land. You're looking at just using the existing stuff.
That's the drainage going down Honor Farm Road, correct?
This is the drainage going down Honor Farm Road, that is correct.
And so at the very top there where the arrow is, that's where the ditch would intersect coming off of the rails to trails, if that's where the ditch went.
Correct.
If you could use your microphone, it would help.
Sorry.
So that the folks at home can hear you. Thank
Okay.
you, Robert.
Sorry about that. This is correct. This is where the drainage would intersect, and this is where it would go through the Honor Farm property existing now. So, with that, this is basically a typical of the existing Webwood Road intersection. This right here shows the 60-inch coming in at Webwood Road. And this is what our proposal is to have a 60-inch going across Federal, Webwood Road trunk line. And this is coming in from the south. That would be our new 60-inch coming in on the east side of Federal. And then a 72-inch going down and draining out into the drainage facility, which is existing now in the Honor Farm. So with that, are there any questions?
I'm glad you said this is very preliminary.
Are there any, Your Honor, sorry, are there any preliminary cost estimates on each of these?
There is. We do have a preliminary. I made up a preliminary cost estimate for option number 3 right there, and that is roughly 1.8 million.
Was that just for the city's portion then, or?
Nope, that's the existing system.
Okay,
That's everything.
thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Councilman Guard.
Robert, is it any thought given to running all the way down Webwood Road south? Where the
East?
current drainage is? There's current drainage there.
There is a current drainage,
I
yes.
don't know that it has the capability or capacity.
The only thing is when you start looking at the existing drainage down there, it dumps into an area there over by, I can't remember the name of the street.
Smith? Goes
Not Smith Road.
due east to Smith, past Pure Gas intersection.
Yeah, you go past Pure Gas intersection, then you go north. There's a trailer, there's a bunch of
Dickinson
trailers.
Trailer Park.
Yeah, Dickinson Trailer Park. There's some irrigation that dumps off of that main irrigation ditch right there at the farm.
Weber's Farm.
Yeah, Weber's Farm. So we looked at it. The costs are just exorbitant to pipe it. You're going to need another diversion structure right there at Weber's Farm to dump that little bit that people have irrigation rights to. So it's just real super high to do that. I mean, it's not out of the ballpark to do it, but when we're looking at these, we're looking at ways to cut costs. And I mean, this is cutting costs not only for the city, but for the Wyoming Department of Transportation. We're all taxpayer dollars. We definitely don't want to be paying it on either
Is that-
side.
Is that piped all the way across the bottom of the Honor Farm?
No, it's just piped up to the beginning of the irrigation ditch.
Right to your last blue arrow?
Yeah. Well, no, it's actually to the red arrow.
That, to the lower red arrow?
Yes. This one right here.
So
And it will be piped to the beginning of this ditch right here, right behind Walmart. This is Walmart right here. The pipe will end right there.
Your Honor,
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify on the cost estimate. Now, that 1.7 is just that one section. That does not include any improvements we'd have to do to the Honor Farm property, widening or upping that. And the cost is, what we've determined is YDOT would be responsible for 10% of that, and the city would be the other 90%.
We're looking at, on the pipeline design, just the pipeline design would be 90-10.
Your Honor,
Councilman Garden.
when you're stopping right behind Walmart, or essentially behind Walmart, and then are you going to an open ditch from there on?
Yes.
And so you're not going to improve the existing ditch out on Honor Farm Road?
Yes. That is going to have to be a study done by the city of Riverton. Me, Kyle, Steve, and HDR, Michael Pacheco, we all sat in meetings in regards with this, and I did some preliminary designs. And I mean, I'm not a hydrologist by any means. I did some preliminary designs, and it is doable. What we're looking at doing is banking up on the existing ditch, probably 2 to 3 feet. We can widen the existing ditch to a pretty significant, maybe 60, 65 feet, something like that. Have a 1-to-1 slope on the side, banking it up even higher, and you will get your detention storage out of that ditch. You'll have to put some structures in there to utilize the full capacity of the ditch, but it's doable.
The 33 acres of capacity, does it run out before you hit the drainage on Honor Farm? So you're trying to create that drainage in the acreage on Honor Farm?
Correct. In that drainage.
So you cannot use the ditch capacity on Honor Farm Road?
You can. The only problem you see there is if you start using that ditch capacity, then you might have to upgrade all the pipes going across the approaches. Because within the existing ditch capacity, you're going to want to bring the flow down as you start stepping further north to fill that back part. And then whenever it finally disperses out, we're looking at a disperse of about 32 cubic feet per second. And that existing will hold that no problem.
So you won't have to enlarge the channel on Honor Farm Road,
Correct.
you're saying?
Or all the pipes that's going under the
All the
approaches.
crosses under the railroad or under the accesses to
Correct.
people's houses?
Yep.
How does the planning rebuilding of North Federal tie into this? Is this something that will be done before North Federal rebuild or after, or?
During.
During, okay. And it's planned for 2018?
Yes.
Is that what we're
Correct.
talking about? Okay. And how does the ownership of that 302 acres that of ground that we're trying to get impact this? Does the ownership of that property make any difference, whether it's state-owned or city-owned or
Well, that's-
private-owned?
Talking with Kyle might understand this a little bit better, but we went to the state land board's meeting that was up there, and I basically stood up and requested that whether or not I didn't have any teeth in the game on the 302 acres. So I basically told them whether or not the 302 acres is decided to be sold or not, we definitely think that this drainage should have an easement tied to it of some type that the city can acquire for future detention pond for this project. And we definitely talked with the state land boards about it at that time. Michael Pacheco was there, Kyle was there, I was there, and I was the one that stood up and asked for it. It's definitely needed. And so whether you get it in the existing drainage or whether you go buy 33 acres off someone's farm, I think that existing drainage would be a lot better use by using it for a detention facility.
Your Honor?
Yes, Councilman Graham.
Robert, can you go back to the slide that shows the drainage behind Walmart? Aren't we right in the middle of that acreage instead of the angular line that comes off as the railroad tracks, right?
This is the railroad tracks, correct, right
That's
there.
where the boundary of the 302 acres are, and we're going to run we're going to run a possible 30 or a possible 60 foot wide drainage through the middle of it.
Correct.
That sound like a good idea to you?
There's an existing drainage there now. Whether you pipe the whole thing,
Well, but if you're gonna take that into development, you would, as you develop that, you'd hope to do away with the ditch or pipe the ditch or something so that you could develop over the top of it. You didn't have a dry canal that has no water in it except every 100 years.
well, there's existing water in it right now, all the time. It does flow all the time right now. I mean, you go out there now, I took photographs of this canal in the winter, and
It's open.
it's open and we have water.
Seems like an awfully wide channel in what you're hoping to develop. I would have to tell you that that's probably a long-sighted development, so it would probably be more than considered an old timer by the time you got around to developing it. But that's an awfully wide approach.
I don't disagree, it is, definitely. But, if you have your business frontage on the
Front side.
top
Federal
side there, and then you have residential behind, you could actually make that into a greenway. I mean, there's nothing by law or anything else saying you can't put a sidewalk down the bottom of a ditch.
Sure.
And you can walk down the bottom of it and make it and keep it, and it's still a detention facility. A lot of detention facilities in other towns are parks and stuff like that. So it could give a buffer from the commercial side to the residential side. And you can still put streets across it too. Proper piping.
I guess my thought on Webwood drainage is it's so much shorter. You're lengthening your approach to the river by good, half mile there, crossing those fields instead of going due east to the river off of Webwood.
Correct.
So, I just think that's
The existing ditch won't hold the flow.
can't.
No.
When we get past Smith, would it be able to build a retaining pond below Smith?
Correct. You might be able to, but you're going to need to have all that flow.
Terribly flat there, so.
You're going to need to have all that flow going down Webwood Road, and that ditch won't handle the flow right now.
How deep did you think it needed to be?
Thinking 6-7 foot deep.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other questions, Mr. Chauvelin?
Your Honor?
Yes. Fabian?
So if that ditch is improved, that's going across the Honor Farm, would that need to actually be put to concrete or can it be maintained as a?
It can be maintained as an open ditch.
Okay.
It can be wetlands. It can be anything you want.
And is there any sort of option rather than having the entire ditch be that wide and deep to have part of it stay somewhat narrower and then build a section that truly is more like a pond that's bigger to house that water?
Correct. It's all depending on the design. The designs are limitless when you look at the detention facility. There's this section right up here by the existing modelers park that's a triangle. And there's an existing drainage coming in. You see that arrow that says flow. Right there, you can make a huge area if you wanted to and make that a pond type of an area or park. And then up here, you can make the same thing. A very large area right at that bend. It's all in what the city's going to design and how they're going to design it. That's not part of ours. So, but there's a lot of options here you can look at.
So we don't necessarily have to have a 60-foot wide ditch running that whole way. We could be a little more creative and have some maybe nicer looking ponds here and there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, another point to bring up, a lot of this is contingent upon the future use of the Honor Farm property. If the sale goes to an entity that wants to do a large master plan, they are going to want to handle their stormwater as well. They're going to be creating a lot of impervious parking lots, roads, etc. They're going to need places to put that stormwater runoff. Having this drainage facility already utilized as a detention pond may serve as a benefit to that developer. Councilman Gard is right, it might affect how they plan to use that land. Unfortunately, we kind of have to cross that bridge when we get there. YDOT has been very proactive in looking at ways that we can handle our stormwater flows coming off of Federal, coming down Webwood. And they looked at building just typical detention ponds in some of these neighboring farms, etc. But you're right, Councilman Larson, the water table is high. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to go very deep with those detention ponds, and as such, you'd have to go very wide, thereby increasing the cost of purchasing land to create a detention pond. That is why using this existing drainage canal is very positive in our eyes at this moment. However the land sale goes, it's existing. It will require a few improvements, as Mr. Shadowmano brought up, but it's something that I think would be a little bit more conducive as far as construction and even acquisition of property, just because of the size that we would have to build somewhere else.
Could that easement there be used for other easements for the development of that area?
I don't see why not. I mean, if you're like burying CenturyLink, cable, whatever, gas lines.
Water lines, gas
yeah,
lines,
everything
etc.
else. I mean, you might just want to put a,
Just be a backbone down through that property, so.
correct. You know, you can use it as anything you want. On the edge of the easement, you can use it as a power run, whatever you want to do, you know.
Your Honor,
Councilman Guard.
that lower flow arrow by Walmart, that is Walmart was forced to put in a retention pond, correct?
I don't know.
They
I don't
have-
know
They have a
regarding
retention
city.
pond to the north of their building, a large one. That's what that configuration is, where that first white line break on flow is at.
That's that right there.
That's their retention pond, yeah.
Okay.
So would that pick up that retention pond?
That retention pond probably has a smaller pipe in it
Could flow to it.
that would flow to it.
Any other comments? Any questions from the audience? Looks like you've done an outstanding job, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, looks like that's going to be an interesting challenge to see how we decide to go with that, how that will impact that potential sale and development. Okay, agenda item number 12, amendment to ADSB site license agreement with Exelis Incorporated, City Administrator's Report. Sure that's not how you pronounce that, but
I think you're. Yeah, so many of you may remember this agreement that we entered with back in 2013. This is approved for a ADSB site license agreement with Exelis. Exelis was awarded a contract by the FAA to implement these facilities across the country, and the initiative was called NextGen, and it aims to introduce new technology to vastly improve the methods used to allow planes to safely transit the airspace. And we looked at this as both a positive to the airport and for them, both to the pilots and to the people on the ground. The site license that it's attached, so I've attached not only the site license but also the amendment that we're proposing, had three stipulations. The one was Exelis will have non-exclusive use of the tower and mechanical room space at the DCI facility. And that's how this came about. We were building the DCI facility, and they were going to house their equipment in the same stuff we were doing for the IT room for DCI. And the second was Exelis will be responsible for all the utilities and telecommunication services and will pay $100 per month for the electricity bill. And then third, they would provide a backup generator that would be used not only to help them, but also the equipment that's at the DCI building. So a lot of this was generated, and we started having problems, and then we broke out our agreement and started looking at it, and realized a few of the things had not taken place that they agreed to, and so we drafted this agreement or amendment, and the first one is in section 2, and it says this amendment clarifies who will be billed and how often, because we found out that we hadn't even been receiving any of the payments of the $100 per month. That has been paid up to date, and we're paid in full all the way through June 15th, June of 2015. Also, the generator had not been installed, and that was a year and a half ago. It has been installed as of October 31st, 2014. And one of the sections in section 3 of the amendment talked about a 10,000 watt maximum. We're not going to get anywhere near that, so we don't have a concern of that being in the agreement. Section 6 was put in based on our city attorney. He says they can't bind future councils unless the term has a benefit to the city. And so that section was added, because when I initially read it, I said, what is this? And how does that apply? And the attorney said, well, that was language that I wanted in the agreement. And then section 17 is the, I guess, the meat and potatoes of this. They're agreeing to pay $10,000 for the HVAC system. And I'll give you a little background of how this came about. The original spec for the HVAC system for the DCI server room was an LG 1.5 ton unit, and under normal circumstances would have been able to serve that building and the equipment in there. However, with additional equipment that Excellus brought into the room, the server room quickly filled with equipment and heat. After losing 3 compressors out of the LG 1.5 ton system because it could not keep up with the demand, we understood something had to be done. Local vendors were solicited to quote a larger system, and Summit Sheet Metal was selected. Upon calculating the amount of equipment in use, as well as the capacity of the backup generator system installed, there was a 3-ton Fujitsu unit was installed. And while this new system is obviously larger, it should be noted that the smaller unit has been repaired and remains not only to support the larger unit should an overload situation occur, but also to serve as a spare should the larger system ever fail. Additionally, the new system includes the ability to pull in air outside when it's below a certain temperature, thus reducing the need for the AC at all for approximately half the calendar year. Thanks to the persistence of the staff, Excellus has acknowledged that they had some fault in this and agreed to make a one-time payment of $10,000 to address this issue. And then in section 18, this was added mainly to ensure that if we ever had future problems in this room and ran into future complications, that they would have to relocate and put it outside the building and build their own building. And so those provisions in there and all those costs of relocation would be borne by them. So that's the amendment that we're proposing. Alternatives are to add, delete, or modify, or just not approve. But we really feel like we have a good system in place now. The IT department is very pleased and in the end, but it's just one of those things. When that DCI building was designed, it was designed just for the existing equipment in there. And then when we brought this other, I don't think anybody knew at the time of the magnitude of equipment they were going to be bringing. And so they got 2 racks of equipment in there, and it's adding additional heat to the room. So that's why something needed to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. The chair would entertain a motion regarding the amendment to ADSB site license agreement.
Your Honor, I would move to approve the amendment to the current license agreement with Excellus.
Second.
It's been seconded, moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Is there any way that we can use the heat that this thing gives off to heat the rest of the building rather than
Door, man.
just an observation?
That would be nice, Your Honor.
Yeah.
I know that with this new system, and I think it's similar to how we have the police department, they're able to bring in that cooler air instead of ACs running nonstop for 12 months, and now it's only going to be like half that time.
Questions or comments regarding this? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. I think I got a little bit out of sync as well on the agenda. I was looking at my iPad, and so let's back up to agenda item number 11. Summer 2014 project review, presentation by the Public Works Director.
Thank you,
I
Your
want
Honor.
to leave you out there, Kyle.
If you'll just bear with me a moment while I bring up this presentation, I appreciate it. All right. You know what? I really wanted to take the time, Your Honor, and I appreciate it, the council, to just do a bookend to our summer projects. Being in public works for a lot of years, this time of year is exciting to me because it means we're done with a lot of projects. You feel kind of satisfied that you got a lot of work done, and I thought it was appropriate to review with the council some of the things that we've done in our community. Before I do so, I need to give credit to one of my employees. Monty Nordwick is the one that prepared this information. And had his boss probably given him a little bit more notice, I think I could have made him do the presentation himself, but it didn't quite work out that way. But I do commend Monty, and I also commend Don Wilhelm for the work they put together for this report. Kind of an opportunity for us to loosen our ties, look what we did for our community, and I would say pat ourselves on the back, but that might sound a little prideful. So be appreciative for what we've been able to accomplish. All right, so first of all, just as a quick overview, we've got a number of projects listed here, and I'm sure you're all familiar with these, maybe even more so than me, since a lot of them happened before my tenure. But we have a total of 9 projects that we worked on during this construction season. The Riverton Water Supply Project, the River Walk, the Riverview Utility Improvement Project, Riverview Road, South Federal Boulevard, Woodridge Estates Overlay, Miscellaneous Concrete Project, major pavement patching, and the Pure Gas Overlay. It's a pretty good amount of work, and in fact, just running the numbers real quick, we completed over $12 million worth of improvements for our community, which I think is a great thing. And as you see, I mean, we had a lot of partners in this. Some of it was sponsored simply by the city of Riverton. Some of it we were very grateful for the 1% tax that allowed us to get a lot of things done. And then also, again, with YDOT. They're great community partners, and they allowed us to improve our community and their rights of way, and we worked together well, I think. So let's go through some of these projects. Looks like the formatting's a little different. Our seal is a little bit big on this one, so you'll forgive me. But I think you're all familiar with the Riverton Water Supply Project. Again, the funding comes from, a lot of it from the Wyoming Water Development Commission. 67% loan, 10% grant, and a 23% contribution from the city. It's a multi-phase project, as you can see, maybe not as well, but the purpose of this project is to improve our water supply and also look to the future for development and improvements to our infrastructure as needed. Phase 1 was completed before my tenure, and you're all aware that it was a transmission line from our water treatment plant over to where the new 2 million gallon tank was built. That was completed in 2013. And maybe just another note on the funding, WWDC just earlier this month approved an additional grant and loan of $3.6 million to help us finish the project for the Phase 3, which would include a redundancy system running from pretty much the new tank through Airport Road and then looping our system back down to Riverview and improving those flows, improving pressures, etc. The two projects related to the Riverton water supply project that were completed this summer have to do with the 2 million gallon water reservoir. I think you're pretty familiar with this. The tank is allowing support for the Job Corps Center. It'll increase the fire flows. Another point, though, is that it helps us maintain the existing tank near our water treatment plant. With those two systems connected, we can now do maintenance on one tank by draining it and still having a 2 million gallon tank to supply water to our residents in those zones, which is a lot cheaper. It helps us. Otherwise, you got to hire divers and do that maintenance, which is fairly cost prohibitive and difficult. So it's going to help us with our maintenance of the tanks and then obviously improve our water delivery system. Again, funding was from the Wyoming Water Development Commission. Engineering was performed by Burns & McDonald. The general contractor was DN Tanks. Our subcontractors were 71 Construction and Electrical Dynamics. The project was bid in June 2012 and substantially complete as of last month. Pretty cool photos as you see the construction of that. Great project, great amenity. The second phase of the Riverton Water Supply Project will be the pumping facilities associated with this tank. 2 booster pumping stations, one located at the new tank site and then also at the old tank site, or existing tank site at the water treatment plant. This allows us to move water back and forth up Griffey Hill between the 2 tanks, and then also once that next phase is completed to also push the water towards Riverview area of our town. Similar details as well, but we have a couple photos. An interesting factoid, I thought, was the housing for the pumping facilities came precast. It's pretty cool as you see the top photo as it's being built. The interior, there's all the guts. Very complicated, and I'm glad that we have Millie and strong staff that can understand that better than I do. So again, that's a great amenity to our city and a great project that was completed this year. Our next project review would be the River Walk. This purpose is apparent. It's to provide more recreation opportunities for our residents, especially along the Wind River. Funding came from YDOT Teal grant, $250,000 in the grant, and then a $50,000 match to the city. Engineering contractors were Enberg Miller. General contractor was Dave's Asphalt. Substantially complete in the summer, and I think it's just a great amenity. A couple important facts or notable facts is the River Walk includes 6,000 lineal feet of 12-foot wide bike and walk recreational trail. That amounts to 7,944 square yards of asphalt. Another point is our crews also helped get this project done, and in fact helped our budgets. So we had our Streets and Alleys crew building up some of the subgrade on this and using their time wisely to help our budgets and help the cost of this project. All right, next project we want to highlight is the Riverview Utility Improvement Project. This is a new sewer main that connected Riverview Road and running through the Fike property. The funding was through the City of Riverton. Engineering was Sage Engineering. The general contractor was Patrick Construction. The project was completed in April of 2014 and bid in February 2014. An interesting fact is 2,800 feet of sewer main was installed on this project. Pretty impressive amount. The next phase of projects to go over are the ones that were shared projects with YDOT. The first of which is the Riverview Road project. Again, this is obviously to improve the road safety, replace the infrastructure. The city played a role in replacing our sewer and water mains within the right-of-way, and then also through YDOT reconstructed the bridge near RVID. Funding sources were YDOT, the City of Riverton, and an Urban Systems Project funding. Engineering was completed through YDOT and Sage Engineering. General contractor was Jerry Bornhoff Construction. Subcontractors were McGarvin and Moberly, ERI, and Modern Electric. I don't have a picture on that one, you'll forgive me. But approximately 50 new city sewer services are available now because of the sewer work done on this by adding 1,600 linear feet of sewer main. So this is obviously helping our future growth, and also residents tie into our sewer system. South Federal Boulevard, we've kind of talked about this already tonight. Obviously the purpose is to improve the infrastructure, and the city also improved its storm drain, water, and sewer, and also installed the decorative street lights. Funding was YDOT, the City of Riverton, and also with help from the 1% funds for the stormwater installation. Engineering was YDOT with HDR Engineering. General contractor was Ryman. Subcontractors were Archer Construction, S&L, Advanced Electrical, and 71 Construction. Just recently, they've been getting that concrete done. I think it looks great. It's a great amenity, and Ernie, you'll forgive me, but I think I pirated these photos from you, so don't take me to court. Great photos and a great project. All right, let's move on to our 1% tax projects. And I do want to highlight here, we ran a few projects on this, and because of the 1% tax, we were able to complete nearly $1.4 million worth of improvements in our city. Very grateful for that tax, and we're very grateful for the revenue it brings our citizens to improve our infrastructure. The first project let was the Woodridge Estates overlay. Funding was the 1% tax. Not only did we do the overlay, but we improved drainage, we improved cross gutters and ADA ramps. Funding, again, was from the 1% tax and with the coordination of the Force Committee. Engineering came through the City of Riverton, and the general contractor was 71 Construction. Subcontractor was Ellis Concrete. Here we go. We included, I didn't count these streets, but Pinecrest, Fir, Maple, Forest, Woodridge, Beach, Timber, and portions of North 16th East. An interesting fact is 666 tons of leveling course asphalt was placed prior to the overlay, and 22,705 square yards of asphalt was placed for all these overlays. Pretty substantial and a lot of improvement for that neighborhood. The next project was the miscellaneous concrete repair project. This was a challenging project, and I think because of how spread out it was, but through the work of our contractor, we were able to accomplish quite a few improvements for our community. It was funded through the 1% tax. Engineering was through Enberg Miller. General contractor was Majors Equipment. Subcontractor was ERI. Project was bid in March 2014 and completed in October of 2014. Approximately 50 ADA ramps were completed for this project in our community, which is a great asset and a great improvement for those that are impaired that need the ADA ramps to make our city more walkable and accessible. Including with that is 19 cross gutters were replaced to improve our drainage. We worked on 9 streets. I shouldn't say we, the contractor did. This included East Pershing, North 12th East Street, East Sunset, North 8th West Street, North Broadway, East Park, West Park, North 11th West, and North 1st Street. So again, great job by the contractor bouncing around and providing benefit to many members of our community. The next project with the 1% tax funds was the major pavement patching project. This was bid out a little differently than our overlays because we wanted to improve sections of asphalt throughout our city that were degrading, cracking, that needed just patch repair. 1% tax, again, the engineering was the City of Riverton. The general contractor was Dave's Asphalt. The project was completed in October 2014, and somebody was living right, I think, because we got a lot of work done this fall before all the cold weather hit. So whoever it was, I got to say thank you. An interesting fact, though, was 1,384 tons of asphalt was placed throughout this project. And these are the streets that we were able to complete. West Sunset, East Monroe, South Broadway, East Park, West Park, North 11th West, North 12th East, West Park, Village Drive, North First, East Washington, and East Main. Again, this contractor was able to bounce around and handle a lot of locations and improve many areas of our city, and we're grateful to them for that. Okay, our last project that I wanted to review was the pure gas overlay. This was obviously to improve the existing asphalt and then also the shoulder. City of Riverton was able to do the engineering, and the general contractor was Dave's Asphalt. The project was bid in September 2014 and completed in October 2014. Some before and after photos, I think, kind of show the improvement that we have there, which was fairly substantial, I think. And some interesting points of information. As part of this overlay, 3,250 linear feet of street was improved, and 1,360 tons of asphalt were placed. And that's our project review for the summer. Like I said, I thought it was an important opportunity, one, to commend my staff, to say, hey, we did a lot of work this summer, and just do a little bit of a bookend as we're getting into the winter season and the winter months. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask regarding those projects or contracts?
I'd just like to comment that before we got this little bit of snow, I took a drive down on Pure Gas Road, and that is a beautiful road. Dave's Asphalt did an outstanding job on that. It's just as smooth and nice. It really is a great improvement. So
It did. It turned out great.
Yeah.
And I do feel like I need to give a shout out to another one of my employees, Dennis Lawrence. Because of the amount of construction that was going on this summer, put in long hours and helped Monty quite a bit on these projects through the necessary inspections of our utilities. So we appreciate the long hours they put in and the way that these projects turned out.
They were kept busy this summer, that's for sure.
Yes, we did.
Done an outstanding job. Okay.
Thank you, Your
Thank you
Honor.
very much, Kyle. Okay. I'm glad we were able to squeeze that one in and I didn't pass it up. That's we need that kind of information. Good job, especially on cold evenings like this, why we need to know that we've accomplished something this summer. So good job. Okay. Reports and comments, council committee reports, and council members roundtable. Councilman Larson, would you lead us, please?
Yes, sir. Been contacted by the, excuse me, people that are driving on the new road there that we just viewed, the Pure Gas Road, and they were interested in if there was possible to put in a crossing section between Pure Gas, not Pure Gas Road, but from rails to trails over to the existing one has been taken away. And then still, there's quite a few people that have asked me about a light there on Pure Gas Road and Webwood because it's so dark there. It's hard to see the new road because there's no markings on the side. And so it's not a 45-degree or a 90-degree turn. It's an oblique turn, and we're fortunate that somebody hasn't driven into one of the structures there. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. And I see Mr. Weaver making notes, so I'm sure he'll take that under advisement. Councilman Fabian.
Your Honor, the first thing I have is that the animal shelter will be having their Santa Paws fundraiser this Saturday at the Senior Citizens Center on Lincoln Avenue from 2 to 5 p.m. So they have pictures with Santa Claus, for kids, for pets, whatever you want to do. Lonnie Slack from the college does that part. And then additionally, they have a cookie contest that you can enter if you would like to. I think it's $10 to register for that, and they have judges come through and they give out give out prizes in all sorts of different categories for decorating and taste and whatever else. And then if you aren't inclined to bake or just need some more sweets in your house, you can come down and purchase the cookies, and all of the proceeds from this go to help our animal shelter here in Riverton. So please take some time to go down there this Saturday if you're able. And I unfortunately was not able to make the EMS sustainability, but I believe Marty was there, so I'll let him update on that. Thank you.
Councilman Christensen.
Nothing to report.
Okay, Councilman Canan. Thank you. Councilman Guard.
Your Honor, I would like to express my thanks to Mr. Madsen for his time spent on the airport board. He was a good asset there. The airport board is canceled for this month. There is no airport board. And we had our meeting 2 weeks ago right through the rec board. But the rec board did, Lee told me that they're going to have letter extension on the skaters park to retain those funds. But that's the only information that came out of that. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, City Administrator's report, please.
Yes, Your Honor. On Wednesday from 5 to 7 here at City Hall, they're going to have a sanitation open house. There was invitations sent directly to citizens that are affected by the change from the dumpsters to the alley to the rollouts. And so it's going to be an opportunity to come and look at signing up for different options between the 45 and the 90 and looking at the routes and asking questions. And so encourage residents that are in those areas, and they would have received an invitation to come to that. Just wanted to bring that up. We have the WHAM Winter Workshop coming up. I'll hand those out at the end of the meeting for anybody on the council now or the new ones. I've already handed one to. Would encourage, particularly even the new ones, to attend this one because they focus a lot on newly elected officials training, which is always important when you're jumping into something you've not done before. And that is going to be January 21st to the 23rd at the Little America in Cheyenne. City Hall will be closed next Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. Also, just a reminder to residents that it's their responsibility to clean off the snow off their sidewalks. I've been driving around, and particularly, I don't know if it's, maybe I'm just looking at it more, but this year I've seen a lot more that have not done that compared to clearing them off. And so would encourage people to clean that off, only in the sense we have a lot of walkers around town and people that have to move, and some of those areas get pretty icy and slippery. So I'd encourage you to take care of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Appreciate it. Mayor's comments. I'd just like to, as Councilman Gard commented on Jim Mattson, what a wonderful member of our community. Jim's been a good friend over the years, and he's just done an outstanding job. And I feel bad, with the health issues that he's dealing with. But at any rate, I'm glad that we were able to give him that award this evening. He certainly deserved it. I also was reading in the paper the Ranger this evening, and they were suggesting that Eli Bebout was elected a Speaker of the Senate, the leadership down there. So that's a great honor for Eli to receive that, and wanted to throw a shout out to him. Also, RECDA will be happening in the morning out at the Sundowner, 7 o'clock. So encourage anybody that enjoys that kind of stuff to come out and have breakfast and a cup of coffee with us. We'd enjoy seeing you. It's my understanding that we're going to be talking about the 302 acres at the Honor Farm property. Kevin Kirstishnik, I think, is going to be probably giving that presentation, so that should be interesting. And then with the information that Mr. Scheidemann shared with us this evening, well, that will give us a little something else to talk about. So at any rate, then we're having Buzz in the morning over at the radio station, so any of the council would like to come over to that, why we'd enjoy seeing you there. Regarding the Volunteers of America and their fundraiser, I'd just like to comment that I've got a bunch of soup bowls now stored in one of my buildings as a result of that they didn't know what to do with the darn things, and so they didn't want to haul them back up to Sheridan. And so my wife volunteered me to stick them in a place that I have. So at any rate, we'll be able to use them again next year. So anyway, it was a good event, and $10,000 first time out is pretty darn good. So we're excited about that. Other than that, I just appreciate the work that the city crews are doing, and the staff and whatnot. The presentation that Mr. Butterfield just gave to us is an indication that we're not just drinking coffee or whatever. So good job. Thank you. Okay, that's about all I have. We don't have an executive session this evening, I believe. Okay, good. And so the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.